Dr. Blackstock, thank you for joining me. Now, Damar Hamlin collapsed after taking a hit to the chest. We see players take this kind of hit frequently in the NFL. It's a move that doesn't usually lead to such serious consequences. Explain what may have caused Hamlin to collapse in this instance.
Sure. Julian, thank you so much for having me. So, I think we can all say that the most desirable outcome has happened and that Damar appears to be doing well, that he has good neurological function. The breathing tube was able to come out. He's, posting on Twitter. But I will tell people that, what happened is rare and unusual. It is a confluence of several different factors. It's just very, very bad timing and bad luck. But essentially, what happened is a phenomenon called commotio or commodio cordis, where there is an impact, and it could be even a low impact to the chest wall, to the sternum, at a certain point in the cardiac cycle when the ventricles are filling. It is a 20 millisecond window. And if the chest is hit during that 20 millisecond window, it could trigger an abnormal heart rhythm called ventricular fibrillation and send him into cardiac arrest. Essentially, the heart is not able to function effectively. It's unable to pump out blood to the vital organs like the brain. And the biggest concern is, how is the brain going to do if we're depriving it of oxygenated blood? And so Damar was very fortunate in that there were medical personnel there within seconds performing CPR on him. And he also was defibrillated. There was an automatic external defibrillator there as well. And they were able to get return of spontaneous circulation. So they were able to get his pulse back. So that is what happened. It also happens in other sports like lacrosse or hockey, usually with a projectile. But again, this just sort of brings attention to some of the other high-profile injuries that have happened recently with NFL players, and I think has caused sort of this reckoning, as you sort of mentioned in that article that you were reading from the Washington Post.
Well, as you pointed out, there were medical personnel that rushed the field to provide attention, and then he was taken to the University of Cincinnati, which is a level 1 trauma center, and treated there for several days. Even still, are you surprised by how swiftly he seems to be recovering?
Yeah, and I will say that, he was lucky in that it was witnessed. So the thing is, most cardiac arrest episodes are not witnessed. They often happen outside of hospitals or outside of areas where there are medical personnel. So the other message that I'd like to convey to people is that he is very lucky. He is incredibly fortunate. As I said, this is the most desirable outcome, but this is like the ideal outcome, and this is not a common outcome. But this happened because of science, because of the resources that were available to him as an NFL player and getting the best care possible. And I'm very happy for him and his family. But we have to think about, is this the kind of situation that we want to put other players in? Is this the kind of, brutality and violence that we as Americans want to accept from this beloved sport? So I do think that the conversation we need to have now is these young people, 70% of them are, young Black men playing. They're a lot of times from low and middle income families. And this is the opportunity of a lifetime. But the question is whether or not it is worth their life.